Hey everybody, welcome to Toms River, New Jersey. This is Fire District number 1, Ocean Beach Fire Company number 3, and this is Ladder Company 2705. So I'd like to welcome Bob Emery, the Director of Sales for Fire and Safety Services, to the studio today for the project that we're working on here with the Ocean Beach rear mount. Bob, what a great build. You and I have gone down the road of talking a lot of fire trucks over the years, and it's a lot of fun to now have you in the studio where we get to really dissect and go deep on this build.
Yeah, thanks for having me, by the way.
If you don't get to learn the department, their first due, and who they are, you really have a hard time understanding why they built what they built.
Yep. I mean, Toms River Fire District number 1 is a very loyal customer to Fire and Safety.
Sure.
and Pierce Manufacturing. Their tandem axle rescue is all over social media.
Right.
I mean,
Right. It's a very nice build.
You know that.
Sure.
But when you get that type of relationship, you kind of know what it is that they're looking for, or what their needs are, or whatever. We don't build our truck. We're coming to you, and what truck do you want?
There is so much to be said to that, and getting to know your customer and having, being able to provide one and then another and another. Every time you build and work with their truck community, you get to understand their department even further and deeper, and that allows you to get a much better build, for sure.
Yep.
So today we're in Toms River, New Jersey. We're at the Ocean Beach Fire Company number 3. I had that 3. You guys have spent the day with me here. We're looking at Ladder 27 behind us. A beautiful build by Pierce Manufacturing. We're here with Fire and Safety Services, featuring the apparatus. But more importantly, too, is we always want to focus on the departments, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a big part of the story, because when we talk about custom fire apparatus, you really have to get to know the fire company or the fire department to understand why they built the truck they built and the needs that they have. And really how we do that is spending the day with its people in the department to learn the culture and the traditions and so on. And so Dave, Len, and Chris, thank you for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. But I just want to talk a little bit about Ocean Beach Fire Company, right? Because this is a special place, right? We travel all over the country. I get to look at firehouses all over the country. And when you walk in, you get a sense real quick about the type of fire company it is, right? You walk in and the equipment's taken care of, it's clean, there's tradition on the walls, there's plaques, there's banners, there's history. Chris, how many years with the fire company now?
Going on 11.
11. And Len, how about yourself?
15.
15, but how many in the fire service?
About 45.
45. Spring chicken.
47.
And Dave, how about yourself?
With this company, 7.
7 years with this company, but how many in the fire service?
42.
42. So this is interesting to me, right? Because the area here in Toms River where we are, it's more of was a vacation community, if you will. It's a beach community at the New Jersey shore, right? As we call it. And a lot of these houses used to be seasonal, but the area is really starting to build up to be more year-round now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
After Sandy, that changed a lot of it when, people knocked down their bungalows.
Yeah.
And built what you see now. A lot of people said, why am I living up there when I can live in this brand new house down here?
Yeah.
And we have a whole new clientele. We were probably like 18% before Sandy. I think we're up to around 29% full time.
Yeah. And Sandy was quite a few years ago, right? I don't know the exact date off the top of my head, but it was quite many years ago. But then the other interesting thing that happened too was COVID. And a lot of people that had seasonal or vacation homes here
Absolutely.
came down here to get away from the urban setting of New York City or Philadelphia, and they came to their vacation home, which then turned into, well, it's not just a vacation home anymore. We're going to be staying.
Right.
Well, everybody's working from home now, remotely. So why not work at the beach?
Which is really interesting, right? Because then this starts to create a different type of conversation for you guys, which was once we had a busy season between Memorial Day and Labor Day, is now you're getting rounded out where the off seasons are still staying a little bit steady now compared to what it used to be, right?
Oh yeah, we're gonna round the clock now until probably Thanksgiving time.
Yeah.
Since Memorial Day,
Right.
you know. So
Slows down a little bit then.
it's just a little-
I'd say till the end of the year. We've had people out down here who have big New Year's Eve parties.
Sure.
It's a different place now. It's, anytime there's the long weekend, we have more people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We get, it's a very different, like you said, COVID brought a lot of people.
Sure.
And, when they rebuilt their homes, they come out here.
Yeah.
And they want to enjoy it. You spend a lot of money, you want to enjoy it.
Well, that's it. And with that comes a level of expectation. A lot of people that have a vacation home here come from more of an urban setting, maybe New York City, Philadelphia, where they're used to picking up the phone, dialing 911, and within 4 to 6 minutes, staffed engine companies, truck companies, EMS, whatever it is arriving at the doorstep. Whereas here, this is an on-call, home response volunteer department.
Something happens, and you're right. I mean, we're in our winter season. Spring starts to come around, boats come back into the water.
Sure.
We get the boating industry, we get boats on the bay, we get boats in the ocean.
I think what's really interesting is talking with you guys today and really understanding the capabilities here. As a 100% volunteer department, your level of responsibility is through the roof, because not only do you have structural and rescue calls, but you guys handle water rescue too, right? So Chris, give me a little rundown real quick. In the next bay over from where we're sitting, we have 2 wave runners on trailers, you have beach rescue trucks, you have a scuba team. Give me a little rundown on the ocean services you provide.
So we'll run from anywhere from Island Beach State Park all the way up into Bayhead if we have to. It's almost 14, 15 miles of beachfront that we're gonna run mutual aid on. We are lucky to have some pretty good mutual aid agreements with the town, towns over in Lavalette and Seaside, and but yeah, we have a whole water rescue team with the lifeguards, which is pretty beneficial for us recently, and that is definitely helped us get out the door and get in the waters.
And the working relationship, I know you guys mentioned the working relationship with the seasonal lifeguards, but that doesn't mean that after 5 o'clock or, off season, you guys aren't responsible. I mean, you got a fireboat in the bay that you guys staff, right, when needed.
Which will go back in probably around April 1st.
Yeah.
It'll be back in the water. We try to get it back in as soon as possible.
Sure.
Yeah.
So.
Sure. And it should be said, I don't know if I said it earlier in the conversation, but this is a barrier island. So you have the bay between the mainland and here, and you only have a certain points of access to get to the mainland, right? Causeways, things like that.
Yep.
And then we're on the barrier island surrounded by, bordered by the Atlantic Ocean. So storms, we talked about the devastation of storms here. Hurricane Sandy, Superstorm Sandy was a big one from many years ago, but even just your regular nor'easter, right? Difficult weather. What can it do here? What does it do for you guys?
It rips us up with high tides.
I bet.
And a lot of our streets start flooding up pretty good. And
Yeah.
before you know it, you got Joe Blow comes down the street and winds up floating
Stuck.
his car.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Right.
So we're having to take the next truck, like the Deuce that we have, and go out and pluck them up. And
Yeah. That's what's interesting to me is like when I think about structural firefighting where I am, rescue services, we don't have to deal with those more unique situations, right? And this is daily for you guys in the summertime for sure. To put things in perspective, this firehouse is literally 4 buildings off the sand dune.
off the sand dune.
Like, that's pretty interesting. Usually, like, when you come onto the Barrier Islands of New Jersey, the firehouses are always bayside, because this is the more oceanside real estate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So usually you don't find a firehouse a couple buildings off the dunes, but if you make a left-hand turn out of here, you're on the beach access in about 3 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is pretty unique. So, how long have you been chief?
Here, this is my 8th year. I did 3 years up in Piscataway before this. And
Okay.
then when I met my wife, I took a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
And then we came down here and you know, expanded the family, and it's been a good ride ever since.
So, okay, but chief for 8 years?
I'm in the 8th year right now.
As chief?
Yes.
How many years you been on the department?
My 17.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, gotcha. This is a pretty cool place, right? So like, I'm a Jersey kid, right? And Jersey Shore,
Right.
like I love, and all the shore is the same in regards to how built up it's becoming.
Oh yeah.
But like we're driving around your first due right now, and it went from a sleepy beach bungalow seasonal town to a year-round, large construction, bigger population, year-round residence. It's changed quite a bit, and I'm sure in your 17 years.
Night and day. I mean, when I bought my house here in '99, I didn't get involved right away because, you know, the boss. So
I get it. I totally
you got to get
it.
settled first
Yes.
and do all that kind of good stuff.
Right.
But basically, what had happened was I bought a 20 by 26 bungalow, had no heat, had a window unit air conditioner.
A seasonal unit,
Yep.
right?
And then next thing you know, I was rebuilding it because it flooded before Sandy. And then, you know, I made it a 2-bedroom, 4-season home, and
Right.
it was the greatest thing ever. And,
Yeah.
you know, unfortunately, when you do all those kinds of beautiful expansions and stuff, the price of the houses start to skyrocket.
100%.
So, and that's made it a little bit challenging for us to find new members and, you know, to keep guys because it's just so expensive to live over here, you know. I'll tell you a very personal story that I'll try not to get myself messed up, but when my daughter was born, at her year birthday, we found out she had cancer.
Oh my gosh.
And it was right around the time that we were moving down here full time and, you know, kind of finding our ways. And these guys they're the true definition of family.
Wow.
They stood by us. They took good care of us, and I think my kids still have babysitters, you know, in line.
Right.
Even though my son's turning 18.
Right.
You know, to be able to pitch in and help out. So that kind of stuff, like, I don't know if the average person really can understand
They don't.
what it's about to be
They
part of
can't.
the fire department.
I agree with you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So we're
I
very, very
agree.
lucky, and I'm very proud of them.
That's awesome.
So.
Yeah, good. When we're going into designing the apparatus from the pre-construction point of view, you really have to get a good sense of what you're looking for and understanding what's available to you. And a big part of that is understanding their first due. And so when you start looking at the room of the size of the chassis, it's important to know the sizes available and what that does to your wheelbase.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they went with the middle of the road, right?
Yeah.
70-inch cabbed axle gives you a really decent working wheelbase of, I believe they're at 241 and a half.
Yes.
You know, so that's a decent wheelbase for a tandem axle ladder.
Yeah, and an overall length of 40 foot 5 inches.
Yes.
A very workable
Yep.
size for that.
That was important to them.
Yeah.
Also important to them was the length of the front bumper. They didn't want it really large. So do they still have a hose pack on there? Sure they
do.
But it's not very wide.
Right. They have a 100-foot accordion packed in a trash line.
Yep.
Up front,
Yep.
for sure. So I got to think, even in the 14 years you've been here, you've seen a tremendous amount of change.
Yes, tremendous.
Yeah.
Sandy was the big eye opener
Yep.
to changing everything out here.
I'm sure. But even with the introduction of this truck, right? Because you had a 75-foot rear mount before this,
Yes,
and now you're at a 107
yes.
tandem axle. So it's a little bit bigger of a truck, but one of the guys told me that it handles and maneuvers even better than your old 75.
Well, turning radius and stuff. I mean, the new technology with the cram angles and things like that on this truck compared to a 25-year-old
Yeah,
American LaFrance.
yeah,
And one of the reasons to go for a 107 was we don't need it for the height. We need it for the reach to get back. You know, we may not be in front.
yep.
I need that length to get in.
Yeah, the reach matters, right? That's where I think it's, you know, people often get confused about, oh, what do we need such a, you know, a 105 or a 107?
Yes.
Why do we need such, we don't have tall buildings. It has nothing to do with tall buildings, right?
No.
It has everything to do with our reach, right? We need to be able to reach it from where we're positioned. You know, but I think for you guys too, though, looking at the upgrade of the infrastructure here, we went from small beach bungalows to 3-story, you know, mega mansions, if you will, on a postage stamp lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, to have that longer stick is important as well, you know? And then look at these little streets, to be able to be maneuverable, to get your truck down there and to be able to set up, right?
Yes, it's a big difference. You know, we still have this 100-foot bumper line for those houses that are on the ground. But the houses that are up in the air, we need more hose.
So that's a great point, right? Because you guys have that 100-foot 1.75" on the front bumper.
On all three.
You have
right.
You have a 5-foot step back on the houses that are right on the street, right? So you don't need more than 100 feet to get through the front door and out the back door of that house.
Yeah, and 100 sometimes is too much.
Right.
So, but, you know, so we keep 100 for that. We run 100 and we're running 200s on everything else because of the longer lays. A lot of the houses now are designed with the door in the back of the house.
Right.
They only allow one door.
Right.
So we go to one door, longer lay, get up the steps.
Yeah. I love, too, in the Enforcer chassis, the wide open windshield. When you drive, how important is, like, visibility in this truck? I mean, it's really wide open.
Tremendous. I mean, I like being able to see everything, no pillar in the middle
Right.
to obstruct your view. It's a wide open view. The Enforcer cab is wider. Even though it's only a little bit, it makes a whole big difference.
This chassis certainly provides more leg room, more width in the seat, right? So when you're geared up, when you're trying to put your pack on up here as the officer, you have a little bit more shoulder room. Some of the other chassis are a little tighter, you know, especially for guys that are a little bit broader in the shoulders, they can get a little tight. The other thing too, though, Lenny, which I love, is the 180 visibility. There's nothing here on the doghouse that prevents you from seeing across, right?
I've got from here to here
Yes.
vision.
Yeah. So here we are in the fabrication shop at Fire and Safety Services. Tucker Harding, a friend, known you for quite a while now, brother. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yesterday we're in Toms River, New Jersey, and we're down at the Ocean Beach Fire Company. They just got delivery of a 107-foot rear-mount Ascendant. Beautiful piece.
Gorgeous truck.
Great footprint on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The upfitting. So often when we talk about fire apparatus delivery, it's always the design, the pre-construction, this and that, but how much thought goes into the delivery when the upfitting, right? And so your job, your wizardry with your crew here in the fab shop is putting it all together for the customer. And that really is what the final bow on the package is, right?
Yes.
How important is that part?
It's huge. If you don't have your equipment on the truck, what good is the rig? When they leave here, we like them to be done. We like to say just add water.
And I think too, right, what helps is having a firefighter or firefighters in the shop.
Absolutely.
Operationally speaking, you guys have a good understanding of the layout of the equipment.
Yeah, it helps a ton.
When you're coming off the rig, you want to be able to grab your tools for the position you're riding in and go to work. So the design and upfitting is paramount.
Yeah, you have to know where your stuff is, how to get it, how it comes out. You want it nice and easy. You know, you want it firefighter friendly.
When we were in Ocean Beach, we were chatting with the crew down there, and they were saying that they had an idea of where they wanted all their equipment laid out on their ladder. And then when they came to sitting down with you, you were like, that's great. Let me suggest this, this, and this.
Yep.
That comes from experience.
Yeah, I mean, I can't count the number of trucks that we've done here that we've had our hands on. You know, we know the sizes of things just off the top of our head, which is a weird thing to know. But seeing so many tools and equipment, we know where stuff fits best. We know where stuff doesn't fit. We know the things to look out for.
And you know your craft, and that's the most important thing. And so when you're talking custom fire apparatus, truck gets delivered, comes here to Fire and Safety. Now you guys get your hands on it.
Correct.
We're talking custom.
Right.
I mean, custom. This is all done by the crew here in your shop. Cut, welded, fabricated, installed.
Correct. Custom to fit your rig, your demographic, your response area, the way you run your department.
Really well said. Tucker, thank you for allowing us in the shop for a little bit.
Absolutely.
It's been a fun project. It's always great seeing you.
Always good to
And
see you.
I'll tell you, word on the street is you guys are doing some incredible work, and I've seen it firsthand.
We try. We
And,
gotta get the crew out here.
And the crew in this shop,
Oh, absolutely.
aces.
Couldn't beat them.
Awesome, pal. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you. You guys did an incredible job after the fact too, right? So the pre-construction is mapping it all out. We tried to, I know I did in committees that I've been on, and I know working with a lot of your salesmen and your people from the factory, they really want a good understanding of what's going in each compartment, right? Committees should do their due diligence to understand the amount of equipment and the cachet that has to go into this truck, and then try to map it out even further of what's going where so you can plan for that, right? You get the right dividers, shelves, pullouts, things like that, right? Super important. But then after the build, Fire and Safety Services, you guys have a heck of a department that does upfitting of apparatus.
Yep, we do. And just to go back 1 second,
Yeah.
we will send Tucker out to meet with the customers before they order the truck.
Tucker's
Yes.
an upfitter
So-
that
yep.
runs
So-
your upfitting
So
department,
they
right?
lay out the compartment and they're not wasting things.
Yes.
You would be so surprised. We send brand new trucks home and trays and tool boards are in the crew cab because the way they wanted to mount things didn't work with how they initially laid it out. So if you wanted to take, have Tucker come up and do a layout and then tell you what trays and those things that you need, we will do that as well. That's a service that we offer as well. I mentioned Tucker, but we have a 4-person tool mounting division.
It's a whole division.
Yeah, so we have 4 people over there. Tucker's the main welder. Haley is another welder. Tyler is another welder. And then we have Nick, who is he's the upfitter. He's mounting the stuff in the trucks and that type of thing. So,
I can tell you I've spent many of hours in that section of your plant. And I've seen the work that's done there, and you have some really talented people that are there representing the Fire and Safety and Pierce brand, which is really incredible to see, because when you start looking at mounting of equipment, you have to maximize every little inch of space.
Yes.
And a lot of times, you guys have already done it. And so for committees to kind of reinvent the wheel, it's very beneficial to work with you guys from the get to make sure that maybe it's already been done. Why reinvent the wheel? Let's do it this way.
Exactly. And I mean, Tucker's he's a volunteer firefighter, of course, so he knows that part of the service, but he is also a pretty good fabricator.
No doubt. No doubt.
So-
and to the point that he won't even allow straps to be on any mounts. Saws are to fit snug, and we don't need straps. Straps slow us down.
Yep.
So there's a lot of that type of thinking that goes into the upfitting on these apparatus.
So we rarely have an apparatus that comes in that doesn't have some type of upfit.
Right.
It might only be one compartment, or it might be stuff on the tool board in the cab or something like that, but very rarely do we do nothing.
Yeah.
We're doing something almost on every single truck.
Yeah.
So
I'd like to say this to them, right? Let's bring it back to Ocean Beach Ladder 2705. You guys, we're looking at what they do. Engine company work, truck company work, but also rescue work with this truck. In the rear, in the torque box where the ground ladder cachet is and typically your hooks in the rear, they've elected to have 4 full-size struts in the rear, along with their accessory bag for them that has their chains and their grabs and their and so on. So you guys, there was an idea to be able to store them there, right? Because there's no transverse compartments on this truck, and so that was a good place to put them, right? They do have 117 feet of total ground ladders on it, which complies with a Quint concept.
Yes.
Right?
Yep, minimum 115, yep.
You have the hooks in the rear, some other miscellaneous hand tools, but then the strut storage there I thought was super unique.
Yep.
And then we bring it around to the officer side and the extrication equipment, the Helmatra setup that they run, and a full airbag complement with matching plywood. A lot of equipment going into these compartments really has to be well thought out.
I mean, with the apparatus, the way they're designed, right? You do need to plan.
Yes.
The willy-nilly of the days gone by, no longer works, because if you're trying to do more with less. So,
Without a doubt.
you have to fit more stuff into these compartments than ever before. And to just throw stuff in there,
Right. This truck's going first.
work.
This truck's going first due in a volunteer department.
Yep.
Might have limited staffing one day. They might have 6 the next day.
Yep.
They got to be able to have the equipment to operate when called upon to operate. And if it's on one piece, it's on one piece. They don't. Who knows if you're getting that second engine out, or
Yep.
when you do, how many minutes behind
Yep.
will it be?
Yep.
Chief, thank you for having us.
Thanks, sir.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for thinking of us.
Yeah, Drew Calvo's the chief of the Ocean Beach Volunteer Fire Company here in Toms River Fire District number 1,
Yep,
Toms River Township, right?
you got it.
I love it. It's a lot, but that's the one thing I love about New Jersey fire companies is the character. We have fire company names, different districts, and so on, but it's unique personalities within. You guys are here with a beautiful firehouse or a beautiful fire company right off the beach. What a place to be a fireman.
Doesn't get any better.
It doesn't, Chief. It doesn't. Thank you for having us. We're here working with Fire and Safety Services, the local Pierce dealer here in New Jersey. And we're looking at ladder company 2705, which is a 2024 Pierce Enforcer, 107-foot ascendant aerial ladder. A beautiful piece.
Thanks. We came out really good. We're very, very happy with it.
So we spent the day, right? We took it out in the district. We got to look at your first due. We set the truck up. We've operated, sat down with a bunch of your guys before, and we talked about the truck and the department. It's just been a great day. But focusing on this build for you guys, right? You said it was, what, 2 years in the making?
Pretty much, yeah. We started coming to the table, thinking about what we needed, what direction we should go, what chassis, how big of a ladder, things like that to make sure we could keep up with the changes in the territory.
So that's a big part of the question, right? Is that, or part of the equation, I should say, is that this district has changed so much. A lot of the conversation today with your guys and yourself when we drove around the district is how different this community really has become over natural disasters like Hurricane Sandy, through COVID, which changed the population and density of the amount of people that are staying year round.
Definitely.
Constantly changing and evolving here.
It is. I mean, we're finding more and more full-time residents. The houses are, the property's not getting bigger, but the houses are getting taller and bigger.
They certainly are.
So, yeah.
We were just talking too. I mean, a standard room and contents fire can pose tremendous challenges because now we're talking on upper floors.
Yep.
So egress, whereas in my world, your first floor is ground level. Here, your first living quarters starts at the second level.
Very much. Very often we're seeing that. And then it takes a lot more hose, a lot more ladders, a lot more manpower,
Yeah.
a lot of things that we have to think about.
Yeah. Unique first due. And I have to think that a lot of the pre-construction conversation you guys had to do with what type of truck can operate within our jurisdiction.
So turning radius was a huge thing. Outrigger footprint was another huge thing. And then overall length.
Yeah.
And the guys, our salesman was just phenomenal with giving us different examples, different ideas. We kind of like to pride ourselves as a Pierce showroom as Toms River Fire District 1. So we had a couple of other options to look at within our district
Sure.
to help us as well. But, just the input, the background, the knowledge and experience that Fire and Safety brought to the table was just tremendous.
Well, that's a big part of it, right? I mean, this is a big capital purchase. It's an expenditure that is a 20, 25-year purchase for your fire company, hopefully, right? We hope to, right? And so looking at, outlaying the amount of money that it costs to build such a truck to represent your district, you have to build for the future.
And we wanted to get it right. We didn't want to forget anything. We tried to, think about our compartment space, think about where the tools were, the usability for the guys to be able to not have to break their back to pack the hose, things of that nature. And I mean, like I said, with the experience that the salesmen bring into us, and even just down to the Pierce website, I mean, you get to look at every different truck they've ever built.
Yeah.
It's just such a big help with our planning process.
And that's a big thing. I mean, it takes 2 years on the pre-construction side. Then you go to formulate the bid spec. It goes out to bid. The truck gets built. Now you're waiting longer lead times than we've ever had before. So it's quite the process. And then you get it in-house, and now we got to get it out on the street, the upfitting.
Right. Oh, Tucker,
There you go.
Tucker is the man.
Yeah.
All right. I got to tell you, everybody kept saying, no, don't worry. We'll figure out where this is going to go. We're going to figure out where that's going to go. I have to give a huge shout out to Tucker. With his ideas, his creativity, we came in with some drawings and he's like, Chief, I love them. He goes, I'm going to do the best I can, but I think we could do it a little bit better. And the final product, it's mind blowing. I mean, it really made things he can think outside the box. His crew that he's got in there, their
Top
welding
shelf.
skill. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Very happy.
I've seen it firsthand on so many builds, right? Working with fire and safety on so many of these projects, I get to see what they're doing firsthand, right? Their salesmanship is incredible, right? They are a true partner and collaborator when building something like this. I mean, I always like to equate a fire truck build to like building your home. Right? Same type of price tag, right? And same amount of options, or maybe even more, right? More so. So there's something to that, right? So you need a true partner in whatever dealer you find through whatever manufacturer, right? That you're targeting, right?
Fire and safety is really quick to answer the emails.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you throughout the day today, really getting a firsthand view of your first due district and getting to know your guys and understanding how you guys operate. I truly believe that Ladder 2705 is a very good representation of the fire department that you are and your commitment to your community. And I think you guys did a wonderful job, Chief.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having us today, Chief. It was a great day with a great fire department. And whatever the secret sauce is here, keep doing it because it works. And, you know, a lot of guys were here today throughout the day coming and going, and some stayed the whole day. But their commitment and wanting to be here and their fun and excitement and their conversations with us just sets the tone for the type of place this is. And so
They make me look good. They're a great group of guys.
that's awesome.
So
Good.
Thank
Chief,
you very
thank
much.
you very
You
much.
got it.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
again.
appreciate you.
All right, you
Good.
got it.